morning. Viewpoint, the program of personalities, politicians, and perspectives. And we certainly have a personality, and we got a wonderful perspective. We'll happily leave the politicians out of the picture for a while. To my right, if those of you are watching on the screen at home, is the lovely Lisa Rusk, formerly Lisa Lindstrom.
Yes.
She has, I had to work this out, boy. I had to talk to Mrs. Busby and get an approval for Mrs. Busby, as they say in the big time, is on assignment.
God love Mrs. Busby.
She's on assignment. So we welcome Lisa with us this morning.
You.
It's nice to have you with us, my dear.
I'm happy to be here.
Lisa, we always start Viewpoint with a kudo, and I'm going to keep this one in-house this morning. We're going to give, I personally going to extend a kudo to our guest this morning for his work on the very subject about which we will talk in just a very few minutes. John Blackburn has worked hard and long on getting this part of Lincoln College's curricula to a point where we really have some important information to talk about. So that's my kudo. Do you happen to have any at all this morning? I don't want to toss the ball to you.
Well, I'd like to give my kudo to Mrs. Busby for letting me sit here and take her spot.
Just the way I told her to say it. Well, that's great. We're glad to have you aboard here. You're certainly not unknown to WLCN listeners, and it's a nice adjunct to have you with us.
Well, thank you.
This morning, I'm going to ask you to. We always let the distaff side of the partnership introduce the guest. So I'll pass the baton to you this morning.
Okay, well, we've got Mr. Blackburn from Lincoln College here today talking about the new transfer agreement with the U of I College of ACES. So he's here to tell us a little bit about the program that they've just started and how it all developed. It's very exciting.
It is exciting, really.
Well, thank you, Lisa and Bill. I am excited to be here because it's an opportunity maybe to let some students and parents know about a program that they're not aware of that we have at Lincoln College. And it's really started because of our mission counselor telling me when I first took the job at the college that when he would visit area schools, inevitably he would hear the question, do you have anything in agriculture? Mm-hmm. And we would say, well, no, we have liberal arts, and if you can get a liberal arts associate degree and then go on in whatever field you want to. And he said, I would hear from the counselor, well, if you had something more specific in agriculture, I think we would have some students who would like to start there. And then that fall, I had my President's Advisory Council in, and that's made up of people from various generations and various walks of life, many of them alums. Mm-hmm. And one of our alums, Dave Irwin, brought the topic up and said, hey, you know, when I went to school here, we had agriculture. And is there anything that you're thinking of? And Dave, of course, manages our farm ground at Lincoln College through State Bank of Lincoln. And the more I thought about it, I'm hearing this too many times, you know, there must be a need. The community's saying it. And so, you know, as Bill and Lisa, as you know, things often come about because of relationships. And when I was at Country as CEO, we, along with the Illinois Farm Bureau and the Lynn Gardner family, sponsored an endowed chair at the University of Illinois College of ACES. Mm-hmm. And I'd built a relationship at that time with Dean Easter, Bob Easter, who's now the president of the University of Illinois. Uh-huh. So I just thought maybe there's something that we could find common ground where both schools could benefit. And this last January, made an appointment at the university with the now dean of the College of ACES, Bob Hauser, and his associate dean, Lori Kramer, and Vice President Gigi Fansler and Dean Tina Nutt and I went over and visited, and we were very amazed at how open and excited the university was about building a relationship where we've become a feeder to the College of ACES. And a lot of people think, well, that's just agriculture. It actually is agriculture, consumer, and environmental studies. And there's 9 majors that the university provides that that we can now help students through the first 2 years and prepare them to become juniors at the University of Illinois. So what happened was the university then came over and asked for all of our syllabi and reviewed them, did their due diligence. When they finished, they said, we think we can put together a curriculum program for your students using your courses. You need to add a chemistry course, an additional chemistry, and maybe additional foreign language over the next couple years. And we think that this will work out, that we can have a transfer agreement that really says if our students do certain things, and I'm sure we'll talk about those, they can become a junior at the University of Illinois on pace to graduate from the College of Aces.
It speaks volumes to me and listeners that a flagship university like our own University of Illinois has an interest in our two-year institution here in Lincoln, Illinois, and felt that we could be a good partner in their agricultural program over there. And I think we should emphasize we're just not talking about corn and beans and farming. It segs into a whole bevy of opportunities in the agricultural field, such as you indicate, it's a matter of consumer and environmental sciences. Well, that covers a whole gamut.
Yeah, the couple of things that surprised us, Bill, in those early conversations, one of those was that they told us more of their students came from the Chicago suburbs than came from the smaller schools in Illinois.
The ag school.
And the second thing was they had as many young women as young men in the College of Aces because of the various majors such as nutrition and technical management and leadership type opportunities. So those were things we didn't expect to hear. And so my point here this morning, one of them is this isn't just for farm boys. This is for Central Illinois students particularly that would like to have an opportunity to go to the University of Illinois and may or may not have all the requirements that it takes to get in, but they can, if they come to Lincoln College and do the right things, go through the curriculum that's been designed, they will be guaranteed that they will be juniors at the University of Illinois if they meet the requirements, and the requirements are not onerous.
It's interesting that we have our Lincoln College family here this morning. I would like to tell the listeners that Mrs. Rusk, formerly Mrs. Lindstrom, is the daughter of Chuck Lindstrom, who was very instrumental in our staff several years ago.
Yes.
And her Uncle Andy was also there. Andy was a soccer coach?
He was a soccer coach, that's right.
And then he went to Florida.
Yes, he's still there.
Well, it's nice. We almost have a monopoly on Lincoln College families here this morning since
right.
I've been intimately associated with the college for a number of years.
Yeah.
And also attended there. My father attended there, so it becomes well, we won't get maudlin about that this morning.
Right. Yeah, my dad was there for 23 years, and he was, the athletic director as well, baseball coach. He helped out my Uncle Andy with soccer and loved working at Lincoln College. He was inducted to the Lincoln College Hall of Fame last year.
Which was neat, which was very nice.
Very, very nice, yes. And I even took a class at Lincoln College. It was a great experience, biology.
Well, listen, folks, we have a number of opportunities in this school for youngsters who may not be ready for the, quote, big time, like the University of Illinois or major universities, to come here for a couple of years and get their feet on good, solid footwork, and then move on and make their mark in education as they move along. Lisa, go right ahead here. I know you have some questions you want to ask President Blackburn.
Well, I was just looking over some of the majors, and I was noticing how interesting they were. I mean, like you said, it's not only corn and beans, it's also animal sciences and food and nutrition, human development and family studies. I mean, there are many different things. So it's not just farm boys. Like you said, it's all sorts of students that would be interested in these programs. And so What are some of the classes that they would need to start with taking at Lincoln College in order to get into the programs there at U of I?
Well, the typical first and second year courses of English and math, the things you would think of a student taking in any college, but they would also take a couple chemistry classes, principles in microeconomics, calculus, analytical geometry, applied calculus, financial accounting, introduction to psychology, fundamentals of speech. Those are the kinds of courses the university wants them to have completed before they get there. But let me step back a minute and make sure that the listeners understand that the relationship with the College of Aces does not start when the student's a junior. They come to Lincoln College and identify themselves as a student who wants to go on to the University of Illinois and the College of Aces, but their relationship with the university starts immediately. University will send over an advisor to meet with these students fairly regularly to make sure that they're staying on pace, that they understand what the requirements are, that their questions are answered about going to the U of I at later time. And there's also an opportunity during that first 2 years to they have 4 online courses in the College of Aces, and our students, while they're here at Lincoln College, will have a chance to take one of those a year, which will include a Saturday or 2 on campus at the university. So by the time the student actually goes to the University of Illinois, they will have experienced many parts of the college, and I think the only really requirements that they'll have to meet is in most of the majors it's a 2.5 grade point average while at Lincoln College. There's one I believe requires 2.75, and then the second thing is that they have to make sure they take the proper courses. But often colleges, community colleges or 2-year schools have relationships, articulation agreements with universities. That means their credits transfer, but in this particular case, every course they take will transfer. So they will truly be a junior on pace to graduate at the end of 4 years when they get there, and they'll know the university. I think it's a great opportunity for our students, and there's a real good reason to start at Lincoln College, because many of us grew up in small to medium-sized towns and small to medium-sized schools, and to take this step to the University of Illinois sometimes is intimidating, and we're just not, there's the tough transition. Well, this program allows the student to kind of make the transition to college, both socially and academically, without going to the huge university to start with. They take exactly the same general courses that they would take if they were enrolled in the University of Illinois, but they'll have the small classes and the support programs that Lincoln College provides.
I think that's a really salient point there, the small classes and the support. In a major university, it just follows that when you go to a lot of courses, there are lecture courses and so forth, and the room is pretty doggone big,
right?
And you're a number sitting out there, and it's up to you to do it. Here, in this environment and on this campus, the small class and the support, those are the key words.
Well, you know your instructors, you know most of your classmates, you can easily find the Academic Success Center where we have tutoring and math labs and things that support students who maybe have a particular area they find difficult, and they'll get a lot of attention. We will make sure that if they take advantage of the support programs we have, that they'll be ready to take the next step. And it doesn't really matter if they're a residential student or commuter. That really depends on their needs and wants. But and the other thing is, I think people need to understand that yes, Lincoln College is a private school, but it really is very affordable. And at some point this morning, I'd like to talk a little bit about those, how it works with discounts and scholarships and things that we have available for our area students.
We can seg into that. I think if our station production manager is ready for commercials. We'll seg into that right after the commercials, sir. And right back live in the studio is here, the WLCN, the program's Viewpoint. Our associate guest this morning is Lisa Lindstrom-Rusk. We're taking the place of Mrs. Busby.
Yep. Good morning.
But she's not going to be away very long, so you'll just be a solo shot today here.
That's
Lisa.
right.
Our guest this morning is President John Blackburn, the president of Lincoln College. The subject this morning is Lincoln College, the forged agreement with the University of Illinois in an agricultural related program. We've just struck a real home run in that. It's okay to use baseball parlance since your family was baseball.
That's right.
Prominent, right? Okay. Before the break, we were about to address the subject of our kind of a general modus operandi, John. So I'll pass the baton to you on that, sir.
Well, I was hoping to get into, as you said, how do you get involved in Lincoln College? And I think, first of all, there's a misconception that because we're a private school that it's not maybe not affordable. We find that between the financial aid programs, the discounts that we provide students because of academic success, and the endowed scholarships that generous people, many from Lincoln and Logan County, have provided, most of our students come to Lincoln College at very close to half the sticker price, and this they need to really find out what the final cost would be. But we still have. I was looking yesterday. We still have 9 scholarships available for Logan County and Central Illinois students that have not been applied for this year. Now we have, in the neighborhood of 150 scholarships, but there are still scholarships available, and we would love to have someone in the area, either contiguous county or Lincoln or Logan County, use those scholarships and come to Lincoln College. If they're interested in finding out more, really could go to our website, www.lincolncollege.edu. They could call our admissions office at 217-735-7252, or come by. Lincoln College is not that big a campus. They can find the admissions office. It's straight across from University Hall, and that's the tallest and oldest building on campus. So we'd love to have an opportunity to help students and parents understand not only this great program that's available at Lincoln College, but the true affordability of coming there. And it doesn't matter, as I said, whether they prefer to commute or live in the residence halls. We certainly love to have them on campus. I think it's a great transition if they're able to live on campus, because one of the things that they'll find when they go on to the University of Illinois or anywhere else at a college level, all of a sudden mom and dad aren't there to get you up.
Yeah.
Right.
And there are all the social things that go along with dorm life. And so it's a great transition to come to a smaller environment and then take that next step to the larger university. I know my own daughter did that thing, same thing, and it was a great experience for her. And that's actually how I got involved with Lincoln College, was watching what a great job the faculty and staff did with her as she made the transition and finally got a degree from University of Illinois Springfield, and it just was a great first step for her.
I did the same thing with grandson Jerry. While he just lived a short ways from the campus, I thought it was important for him to be involved in living on campus and having that environment, and that proved to be a good decision. He really blossomed, came along there, and then of course after he left Lincoln College. And by the way, Lisa, I had the pleasure and the privilege of presenting him his diploma as he walked across the stage, which was a big deal for Grandpa.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
A little aside there. But then he went on to Western and got his degree and is doing well. But point being, while he was local, I just felt it was important for him to be a part of the entire campus environment. And you with your daughter, the same situation, and it worked out very well. The thing that I want to emphasize to our listeners is, as the president knows, when I'm on campus, I like to interact with our students and visit with them and ask them how they're getting along and what do they like, and I also ask them who some of their favorite instructors are, and it's amazing how many same names pop up with various kids on the campus. But it's that small environment that makes the difference. You know, as they say, the old expression, it's the difference that makes the difference. Well, that's exactly what it is with us on Lincoln College campus.
Well, I think you're right, Bill, and it's, you know, it's for certain students the best next step from high school. And
for certain students, that's
and,
right.
And they, you know, one of the things we tell parents and students that when they come to orientation is that our responsibility is to prepare them to be successful at the next stage of life. It's not just academics. It's how to behave and how to interview and how to talk to your professors and your classmates and how to learn respect for others. And it's a major change from when mom and dad are there kind of helping and holding hands. And I think it's a great opportunity for many of our area students. And when I'm telling the parents that we owe them more than just academics, but to learn how to be ready to compete at the next level, the parents are shaking their heads. Now, sometimes the students are kind of staring at me like, what does this really mean? But I think that is something that we do owe them. And I do want to emphasize, it's not too late to apply for this program or any program for this fall. We have 2 orientation programs in the middle of July. I believe it's the 14th and 15th. And those students who have filled out their FAFSA for financial aid this year and did it on time will also be eligible if they come to one of those orientation programs for our opportunity grant, which is another $1,500 off of the tuition. So don't wait. They need to come and see us in the next week or so and find out all the things that they need to know about how to get into the
timeliness.
program.
Go ahead, Lisa. Go right
I
ahead,
was just
please.
going to say, and there are a lot of job opportunities with these majors around the area, and the College of Aces doesn't have enough graduates to fill all these jobs, so this is a perfect opportunity to get involved.
What a great point, Lisa. That was one of the other surprises that we found when we talked to the folks at the College of Aces. You know, you hear today that students are graduating from college and can't find a job. College of Aces folks told us that they don't have enough graduates for the job opportunities that companies are providing for their graduates, and that they actually want to grow the program. And you know, it's companies like Monsanto and Pioneer and ADM and that type. But there's also opportunities in the hospitality world and dietitians and things that they also could be prepared for.
Veterinary,
sure. And I guess the last maybe surprise we got in that conversation, the first conversation, was that they told us that their experience had been that students that transfer there as juniors perform equally as well to those who came in as freshmen. And they have been watching that very closely. They're tracking it very closely and said they cannot tell any difference in their performance and their abilities. So, again, I think for certain students, this is a better start.
You know, you mentioned the word the hospitality factor. It comes home to me because I have a young niece who graduated from the University of West Virginia some long time ago, and she got into the hospitality business through the Sheraton Hotel chain. Subsequently formed her own company and has done exceptionally well in the hospitality field. Normally, most of us don't think in terms of that as being an avenue for a profession. Well, indeed, It certainly is.
Well, it's a huge area. Now, you got to be willing to travel.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Yeah, well, this young thing next to me would be to fill that bill. She was
That's
good.
right. Who wouldn't want to travel?
At somebody else's expense, huh?
Exactly.
She's like her family. She's got a great personality and would do very well in that regard.
Well, thank you.
John, the smallness of our classes, I think, is probably the one big thing, and the interest of our instructors in our students. Those two things in and of themselves are the keystone to our success.
Well, you're right. Often when I'm talking to alums, I will ask them about their experience at Lincoln College. And the two things that are the most consistent is they've found 2 or 3 or 5 professors who impacted their life, and they remember their names. And I'm talking sometimes to alums that have been out 50, 60 years even. They name names of professors who took an interest in them, cared about them, didn't give up on them. And we're, again, small enough where that kind of a relationship and that kind of an intimate interest in the student is easier for the professor to have. And then the other thing that they often tell me is that they grew up at Lincoln College. You know, that they transformed.
Their maturation point.
And that's, you know, part of our whole mission is transforming lives. So it's always good to hear that from students, and many of them weren't sure what they were going to do and where college was going to take them, or even if they belonged. But by the time they get through 2 years and gain confidence, and of course some skills that they need for the next phase of life, they're ready and they're appreciative of what the college has done for them. It still comes down to the student. You can't make people learn, you know. But I think because of our relationship with our students, some students thrive at that type of an environment.
It's a very comfortable environment. It's not huge and overwhelming, and so it could really teach them their time management skills and organization skills, because they don't have too far to go to class. And you know,
yeah, if somebody says I can't find my class, we have a little trouble with that excuse.
they better go to Burtonview to go to school.
But you know, it's big enough. It's big enough that, and you have to make new relationships. You know, 600 or 700 students that maybe 50 of them when you come, if you're local. If you come from the other parts of the state or out of state, you know no one. And so learning how to become part of something is just as much a part of going to college as going to class.
It's always nice to see a familiar face, that's for sure.
You bet.
Feel comfortable with your professors.
You know, one major factor bullet pointed here is the financial planning. Notwithstanding whatever course you're pursuing, but a little exposure or a lot of exposure to that is just absolutely immeasurable, particularly in today's times.
Sure.
Particularly so today's time. And being the success you have been in your profession, that's kind of a major factor in your success, is being able to plan financially and look ahead, and if you can expose a young man or a young lady to the basics in that and get them started with their thoughts along those lines.
I think it's been proven that people who set goals and have a plan, the odds of their success go way up. And those that are just hoping things work out and don't set any real goals, they're lucky if it works out, and maybe they're just talented. But we find that you know, we start talking about goal setting, and in my view, if it's in your head, it's not a goal, it's a dream. If you write it down, it's a goal, but you're not committed till you tell somebody. And so all of my life, and I think it was a professor who kind of helped me understand that, I've each year set personal and professional goals, and I tell somebody, because until you tell somebody, you don't mean it. It may be your spouse, it may be a friend, it may be you know, a girlfriend or boyfriend, whoever. But if you're willing to step out and say, this is what I'm going to do, and then build a plan to get there, great things happen to people. And that's why I like this this ACES program, because the student starts as a freshman at Lincoln College, but they have a plan, at least for college.
There's a goal there.
There's a goal and a plan, and they've got sort of a program to follow, rather than just decide, what am I taking next semester, or which class can I take and not have to get up at 8 o'clock in the morning. That's not really a plan.
Or can I take meteorology instead of chemistry?
Yeah, that's right.
The fact that we're talking about an agricultural-related program this morning with the University of Illinois does not preclude the fact that the youngster. I guess what I'm trying to get to is that we're just not talking about going out and dropping the plow in the field or the planter in the field and growing corn and beans and alfalfa and so forth. There are so many ag-related courses that will seg into great professions.
Well, you think about just our own community. Agriculture drives a lot of things in our community, and without it, we would not have the great community that Lincoln and Logan County provides. But it creates other jobs, and that's what this program also does. Is it prepares people for a lot of jobs that have nothing to do with production agriculture directly, but the indirect types of jobs that are created because of agriculture. A student can become prepared to do one of those, and I think we'll find, and I don't want there to be a conception that only if you're interested in agriculture should you look at this program, because there's just all kinds of opportunities related to these 9 majors that the College of ACES provides their students. And there are 2 other majors that we didn't feel we would do a good job of preparing students for, so we didn't get involved in those. If we can't do a great job, then we shouldn't do it. And one of those was in some ag engineering. Well, we didn't have the physics and some of the advanced courses that they would need to be prepared for that. So for the student that's interested in that's going to have to probably go directly to the university. But I think this program is going to grow. Unfortunately, we didn't sign the agreements because of all the due diligence and getting contracts and the legal reviews. We didn't sign them until May 19th. And so we didn't get an opportunity to spend an adequate amount of time with area high school counselors to really educate them on this opportunity. And that's why I appreciate you giving me this chance this morning. And we're going to hopefully have other opportunities to explain it. And again, I want to emphasize, it's not too late for this fall.
Yeah, I think our prospective students out there and parents want to emphasize that very strongly, that it's not unusual for youngsters to not be sure, even in July, what they're going to do. Most of them have a little game plan, but it's not unusual for a lot of them not to know where they're going to go to school. We can sure accommodate them here, and it doesn't have to be ag related. 2 years here gives you a great base for which to move on in your various educational fields.
But you're right, Bill, and probably there are many people who don't realize that about a third of our students are also athletes in one of our 16, now 17 sports, and another large group are in fine arts, in theater and jazz, and so and in radio broadcasting is one of our majors. So when it gets all done, about half of the students that come to Lincoln College have another skill that they'd like to continue. You know, they loved playing a sport, or they loved being in the play in school and like to look at participating in the theater, or they play an instrument. And the neat thing about Lincoln College is you can continue that if that's something you enjoy and get your academics up to snuff as well. So, you know, and we still have some opportunities in all of the sports and in fine arts for students for this fall. We are filling up. If somebody's interested, they need to come by and see us pretty quickly.
And they
ahead,
do have
Lisa.
the new athletic center that's there. The workout facility is beautiful, state-of-the-art machines and everything else. Would be a good place to study. I would find myself there quite a bit, that's for sure.
I have a locker, but that's the first step, right?
Yes, that's right. You got to write it down.
I know. Got to write it down. You're right, and tell somebody.
Yeah, you did. You just told me, so now.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay. That's a goal I need to set.
Apropos of that, I wrote, when I first heard that come from John, I jotted that down and I gave it to my young grandsons and said, think about this. Don't just look at it and throw it away. Think about this and use that as a kind of your operating mantra. And that's, if you write it down, you're committed.
Well,
Tell somebody you're truly committed.
Truly, and I told my own children the same thing, and very proud of their successes. And I think part of it is they learn to be goal setters and to put a plan together. And yeah, you have to. Sometimes the plan doesn't work perfect, and that's part of life, is learning to adapt.
Yeah.
Well, that again, the college experience is a time to learn some of those things when it doesn't have such dramatic impact. And I'm sure there are students that will come into this ACES program thinking, I'm going to major in this, and by the time they're a junior, one of the other majors will be more attractive to them. But it really, they'll be ready for any of the 9 if they stick with the curriculum that the University of Illinois and our academic folks have created for them.
Lisa, our president, referred to our athletic teams, which we feel some pretty doggone good teams.
Absolutely.
Nationally recognized. One that doesn't get a lot of press is swimming. And people say, what's the big deal about that? Well, there again, if you're going to be a good nationally ranked swimmer like many of ours have been, it's a matter of discipline, a matter of budgeting your time.
Absolutely.
And those are the ancillary spin-offs from their successes in the pool or on the court.
Our swimmers and divers practice usually at about 6 o'clock in the morning and again in the afternoon, and go to class. And incidentally, some of our very best students are in that group. But that's a program that takes a lot of effort, but I think it does teach discipline and strength. And we've had national champions in swimming. We've had swimmers who were in the Olympic trials. That's
big cheese.
And we don't really maybe tout that enough. And by the way, Coach Corbeil is looking for a few more swimmers for this fall, both men and women or divers. And we'd love to have, if somebody's interested in that, and you don't have to be a world-class swimmer or diver to participate. We really want good kids who also enjoy doing something and doing it to their best ability, whatever that might be.
Which brings the question, and I'm not sure whether to even open up this can or not. In the past, that pool, that nice pool up there that Mrs. Scully family, God love her, made available for us, has been available for public use for, I think, a very nominal fee.
Yeah.
Is that still the case?
Yeah, it is. We have a group that are fairly regular early in the morning swimming laps. We have another group that comes in from the community late morning, maybe tied to lunch hours. We have the high school uses our pool for their programs. We have a club team in town that uses our pool, and then our own swimmers and divers. So it's used a great deal by the community, and we like that. We want Lincoln College to be an integral part of Lincoln, Illinois, and the support we've had locally is unbelievably strong.
Yes.
We had our accreditation, 10-year accreditation this last fall, and when the peer review team came in, they met with 10 of community leaders without any administration in the room. And what they told us afterwards was, your community really understands the value of having a college in town and how important it is for you to be part of the community. And what I said to them is, well, we wouldn't be here without the community. Their support, both financially and physically coming to things, whether it's one of our plays or our athletic events or anything that we do on campus. We try hard to involve the community. And in the next year, we're going to be celebrating our 150th anniversary, our sesquicentennial, and we are going to work very hard to involve the community in that year-long celebration.
You know, President Blackburn, you just opened up a possibility. There might be some folks out there who happily are established and maybe haven't made the determination of just what they want to do with their resources. Maybe they don't have a family. Lots of circumstances that perhaps they haven't made those final decisions. It'd be a great opportunity for them to think in terms of Lincoln College and in the way of an endowed scholarship or an outright grant. So I submit that to the attorneys in town who have customers or clients, I should say, preferably clients, who are in that circumstance and just might not know. Be doing a great service for the community.
Well, an endowed scholarship lasts forever. It's every year for some young person who needs it. And as I said, we wouldn't have the things we have. And we have 2 gyms on campus that I think our community's pretty aware of, but if not, they should come out and see them. One's in our Lincoln Heritage Museum, which is world ranked, and then the second one is Creekside Environmental Center, which
we didn't touch on that.
And that's going to be a laboratory for the students that are preparing for the ACES program. It's an outdoor laboratory. Dr. Campbell has created an unbelievable opportunity for students who want to continue in environmental studies. They'll get a real basis here at Lincoln College. So I think we've got it going right now if we can just keep that enthusiasm and keep our community very involved.
Mrs. Rusk, would you like to make a final comment?
Well, I would just like to say that this ACES program is very interesting. I mean, anything from agri-accounting, farm management, anywhere from, and then you go from food science to veterinary services. I mean, this is a really exciting opportunity that Lincoln College is offering, and I definitely would recommend looking into it and checking out the campus. It's a beautiful campus, and you can go and you can make an appointment with one of the counselors and talk about all the different opportunities and really look into this. It's an amazing opportunity.
Heck, Lisa, they don't even need an appointment. Just come by and see us.
Just come on in.
We'll have somebody there that can explain the programs that during the regular working day and often in the evenings, because we try to be very available when it works for folks to come by and see us. But don't wait, because many of these students can still get that opportunity grant, and I don't want them to miss that. They need to come by pretty soon if they want to take advantage of that. And there's no qualification other than they filed their FAFSA and they register for our orientation program in the middle of July.
You can also visit their website at lincolncollege.edu as well.
We appreciate very much. Thank you very much, Lisa, for substituting for Judy. She'd be very, very proud, and we look forward to having another
talking with you.
Maybe someday I'll just step out of here and let you and Judy run things for a while. That wouldn't be the worst thing, Mr. President.
Oh. I'm not touching that one, Bill.
I know
you're talking. I'm listening.
Well, we always try to wrap up a viewpoint with a saying or quote that I dig out from somewhere, and I found one that lamentably has a lot of truth to it, and it says, an educator is a person who educates others to make more money than they do. Lamentably, that's so. Thank you very much for Viewpoint.
Thank you.